Okay, let's talk about stars. I've cut out several different kinds of stars here. And first what we have is this star right here. This is this normal star that you get at a craft store. It makes this star. I want you to take a look at it and see what this looks like. This is a rounded puffy star. And honestly, our flags do not have a rounded puffy star. This is a happy star, works great for the 4th of July, but if you're doing an official flag cake, something that's supposed to look elegant, this is not the star you want to use. The star that you want to use is a sharp pointed star. That's this one right here. See how it looks very sharp and defined? This is what will make your flag look elegant. Okay, and another thing I have to tell you is when you're putting the stars on your cake, okay? I've seen people do this. They just kind of line them up and they put them on, especially when they're using this kind of star. And you look at the flag and you're like, I don't know what's wrong with it, but there's something not right. You can also do it with the 5-pointed star. You just kind of put them on there and you think they're lined up, but they're just not right. When you do a flag cake, all the points need to match. And if you look right here, see how all the points match and line up really pretty? This is the difference. If you just put them on like this, it's a fun flag. It's a childish flag. If you put them on like this, people will look at it and it looks like pow, but there's something wrong and they don't know what's wrong with it. And if you put them on lined up really nice and even if they're in folds, they're beautiful and they have a very striking visual effect. Okay, next we're going to put some stars on the cake. What we want to do is we want to take a star. You will need a blade, a star, and a glass of water, or you can have like a wet paper towel. And all I do is get the back of the star wet. And then I always start here because this is the most important part. Figure out where you want your star to point. And I want my stars to point like this. And almost always I will fold the first stars under because that's really what makes it look like it's going to fold. Now when we do our next star, we want to look the way this one is, and that one's going to go here. So this has a fold here. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to put the star down. I'm going to cut that one. And then cut off a little bit more of the star like it's folded under and actually roll it under. Try not to touch the blue with your brush like I just did because now your brush will have blue on it. Look, this one's kind of angled, so the next one is not going to be directly down here. It's actually going to be up a little farther. And this is what I was talking about when I told you you have to line your stars up right. This is the important part, is the angle has to match. These have to match. Make sure when you're lining it up, not only are you lining it up this way, you're lining it up this way too. There is a little give and take in the folds. That's the one good thing about the folds is you can kind of hide them a little bit. I have to admit, I'm going to have to turn this around and do it in front of me because I can't see it to make sure it lines up. But we just put as many stars as we can get that looks good. Okay, we've gotten our stars done and it looks pretty good now. Now I want to show you another little trick that I do to make them look good. I take the quilter's wheel and I press those ends down onto the cake with the quilter's wheel and give the stars stitching. Yep, I do it to every one of the stars and it takes a little extra time, but the effect in the end just is totally worth it. I take luster dust, white pearl luster dust, mixed in a little bit of Everclear, and I paint the stars. This just gives it a little extra pop. It's not something you absolutely have to do because obviously everything that you keep adding to this adds to time and of course money. Okay, on the bottom I do a really compact shell with a number 19 tip. Now, I know you're supposed to draw out shells, but I think on like a ceremony cake or something that's more masculine, I like my shells to be pretty tight. Next, we're going to make a banner for the flag cake. And what I like to do first is you roll out a really long piece, the width or length that you want your banner to be. And instead of cutting edges, what I do is I take tape, this banner is going to be pretty wide, so I'm going to make mine that wide. Then cut the edges. You could use a ribbon cutter. I do have one of those, but it's just as easy to do it like this. And if it's absolutely not perfect, nobody is going to notice. Unless it's just way off. But you should be able to get it pretty close by hand. Airbrush it. I have a gold luster dust mixed with Everclear. And you just airbrush the edges. Make sure, I do put my fingers here to keep it from blowing up underneath. Make sure you get the very edges too. Do is peel off the tape. This one is sticking pretty good, so it might actually have to be redone. Banner on. The bad thing is once you put it down, you really can't move it too much because you'll see gold.